A federal judge recently ordered Apple to help the FBI get inside a phone used by Saeed Farouk, one of the attackers in the San Bernardino shootings. Specifically, the FBI wants Apple to write a special piece of software that would bypass the iPhone security feature that wipes a phone clean after 10 failed passcode attempts. But critics say that software could open up Pandora's box. Here to talk about the case is one of America's techiest lawyers, James Goodnow. Welcome back, James.
Thanks for having me, Danielle. Good to be here.
Now, the government is trying to force Apple to comply by citing a 1789 law called the All Writs Act. Now, from a legal standpoint, does the FBI have a case, and does a law from that time period even apply to technology in 2016?
Well, let me answer the second question first, Danielle. The answer is the law does apply, and it's a bit of a misnomer on Apple's part here. Although the law has its origins tracing back to 1789, the law was actually recodified here in the 1900s, and it's been used on a regular basis. And if you look at most of our law, it goes back many, many centuries ago. So that's not the issue. The issue here is new broad-scale application of it. So the answer is the FBI does have a case, but I think Apple also has a very strong case here, and it's going to be a close call as to which side ends up winning.
Now, Twitter, Facebook, and all sorts of technology companies recently came out in support of Apple's CEO, Tim Cook, who says privacy is a fundamental right. As a tech expert, what's your stance?
In my view, this is a classic case, Danielle, of the law not keeping up with technology. This has really been cast in the media and, frankly, by the FBI and Apple as a privacy versus security issue. That's true. But I think more fundamentally, this is a short-term security issue versus a long-term security issue. If Apple is forced to break open its iPhone, to hack it open, that's a piece of software that will exist. And it could, if it got into the wrong hands, be disseminated around the world instantaneously. So it poses a very, very grave cybersecurity threat to everyone with iPhones.
Okay. And that's just not here in the United States. I mean, security is an international selling point, you know. So, I mean, what does that mean not just for the United States, but for the world?
What it means for the world is this could be a very dangerous precedent. Here domestically, if the All Writs Act is used in this case, then courts will have the legal ability to use it in other cases. And at that point, we could have the phones being used not just to unlock them, but to access certain applications, to access the cameras, to access the microphones. That's dangerous. On a global scale, once the precedent is set in the United States, that piece of software will exist, and foreign governments likely will ask to use that software in their cases. So it really is creating an entirely new, dangerous world that today does not exist.
Banks, hospitals, the government, they all depend on encryption to protect our money and our data. If the government does get their way, I mean, what does that mean for government and hospitals and things like that? I mean, you've seen recently what happened at that hospital. What does that mean for that?
I think what it means is that you will have a new set of laws, application of a new set of laws here that are being used in ways that were never contemplated. If you go back to 1789, I think one of the criticisms of using this law is no one could have thought that this would be the world we live in today, but we do. What needs to happen now is that because we're at this critical crossroads, we need to have Congress come together with security experts, to come together with civil liberty experts, and make sure that we are crafting laws that are designed to deal with the threats we have today. So the answer to the question is, if we don't deal with this the right way, we will be picking up the mess for a long time to come.
And what does this mean for Apple in the sense of business and stock? Do you think this will affect their company on either way it goes?
I think it absolutely could. I think if this All Writs Act is used and the precedent is set going forward, it certainly could have an impact not only on Apple, but on the tech industry generally. Understand that Apple has invested tens of millions of dollars creating an encrypted, secure platform. And essentially what the court is asking Apple to do is to subvert its entire business model that no doubt could have a financial implication via the stock market or otherwise for Apple or other tech giants.
Now, Apple would have to, like you said, create a whole new software program to do this. Could they simply just say, sorry, we don't know how to do that?
They could, but as a matter of fact, this morning, Apple came out with a statement, originally an internal statement for employees, now publicly available, acknowledging that they do have the ability to do this. I think Apple acknowledges that it created the software, it has the blueprint, it has the technical prowess to accomplish this. But what Apple is saying is that if this goes forward, the stakes are too high and it's too much of a burden on the company, but more fundamentally, it compromises the security of everyone around the world.
Now, you mentioned iPhone users. Could this affect people who with Androids and other types of phones as well?
Yes, it could. So the answer is immediately the no. This particular request on the part of the FBI is only for Apple devices. However, because we have a system that's based on laws that evolve, once the judge rules this order and it's upheld, that precedent could easily be applied to other devices, including Android devices, or frankly, any device. This is a very sweeping law. It's not written in any way that's tailored to a specific manufacturer. So again, in the long term, the answer is, and security experts are so concerned because this law could be used for any device.
So you're saying, the takeaway here today is this could set a very dangerous precedent if the FBI does get their way.
Absolutely, it could. And I think what would happen is even if the FBI gets its way, my belief is Congress will act on this. This is a very high-profile case, and I think you're going to see Congress coming together to try and pass some specific laws on this. Now, whether our divided legislature can do that is another question, but I'm sure there will be efforts, and I hope they succeed.
All right. James, always great to have you on with us today. I hope you'll join us again as we continue to track this case.
Absolutely. Thanks, Danielle.